Hello everyone and welcome to Trustworthy Topographical Maps. Today we're going to be learning about how to read a topographical map and basically how to understand and how to work it when you're out in the field. Let's get started. Now first off, topographical maps are extremely useful when you're going out into a natural area or being around a natural area and you want to navigate and basically see what the features are going to look like before you go. Now the three basic concepts we're going to be covering today in our lesson is basically how to read the contour lines of a topographical map, how to understand the scale, and how to understand the key or the legend that is on the map. We'll also be discussing a program later on called CalTopo, which is a really unique feature you can use when looking at topographical maps and understanding them. Let's get started. Now the first thing we're going to be talking about is contour lines. Now contour lines are a really unique feature on topo maps because they allow us to basically see the terrain before we even lay our eyes on it in person. It lets us see the steepness and the not so steepness of our terrain that we're going to be working with. Now with topo maps, depending on how close or how far apart the lines are, we can determine how steep or how flat a terrain is going to be. The closer the lines are together, that means that the terrain is going to be a lot steeper and a lot harder to go up or go down. But the further apart they are, that means it's a flatter area, more like a valley or a slow decline or incline. So contour lines let us see the shape of the environment we're going to be working with before we're actually in it. And this is done through the shape that the lines make. Now in some cases, like these, you'll see circles, and this basically means that it's going to be a peak, or it could also be a depression in some cases, but that's a lot rarer. Another great feature of these contour lines is that every 5 lines, there is going to be a thicker, bolder line that is going to be the index line. And along this line, it will tell you with numbers just how high in elevation it is, and you can kind of get a sense of how quickly it is ascending and descending based on looking at those numbers. Now, a final really cool feature of these contour lines are these things called contour intervals, which basically means that from one line to the next is going to be the same change in elevation. For most maps, it is going to be between 40 to 80 feet. For my example map, it is 50 feet. So from one line to the next, it is always going to be 50 feet. So when you see those closer together lines that indicate a higher change in elevation, you can definitely tell because each change in elevation, each line is going to be 50 feet. Now throughout my video, I will be using this purple lizard map, which is of Rothrock State Forest in Pennsylvania. And I'll be showing images and pictures and videos of this map. So if you're wondering where I'm getting all my pictures from, this is where. All right, next up, we are going to be going over the scale and how it relates to topographical maps. Now the scale basically means how detailed the topographical map is going to be. Many topographical maps are on a scale of 1 to 24,000, which basically means that for every 1 inch on the map, it's an actual 24,000 inches in real life, which is crazy. Now, the higher the scale in the map, the larger area it is going to cover. However, it is going to be less detailed. So for example, with a map that has a scale of 1 to 50,000, that basically means that for every 1 inch, it is going to be 50,000 inches in reality. Now that is a lot bigger than our previous example of 1 to 24,000, so it's going to be a much bigger map that covers a bigger area. However, it's not going to be as detailed, but it's going to be covering a much bigger area than those smaller, more detailed maps would. Another thing in relation to scales on maps are these little representative scales that you can be seen on every single map. So basically what these representative scales look like is this, and it is a lot easier to kind of measure the distance, either with a piece of string, or you can get a stick, or even your finger, and you can put it along the scale and measure and see how big the distance is, and you can put it in relation to your map and see how far you have to go or how far one peak is to another. Now I use the string method a lot when I go out backpacking or camping, and I just put a piece of string from my current place or the destination I want to go and a starting point, and then I put it up to the scale, and then I can basically see how many miles it's going to be and just how long of a distance I have to go. Now the final thing we'll be discussing in detail today is the map key or the map legend. Now this map legend is from my purple lizard map, and it basically shows you a bunch of different road colors and trail colors and different features that are going on in the map, and I'll go into them all right here. So my topographical map also has roads on it, and you can see there's different colors for the different highways that are going on, paved roads versus dirt or gravel roads, if there's gates on the roads, or if there's only 4-wheel drive roads. All of those are listed here, and you can find them and look them up on the map. It also lists some bike paths or rail trails, which are super cool and unique. And there's also different shared use trails, like if you're going to be horseback riding on the trail, you might see hikers as well. Long distance shared use trails. hike-only trails, long-distance hiking trail. A good example of this in my map is the Mid-State Trail, which goes all the way across Pennsylvania. And that is on both sides of my map, and it is a great feature to look at and see, oh look, there's the Mid-State Trail. Other features are abandoned railroads and active railroads, which is really important to look out for, especially when you're doing railroad crossings, just so you can be sure to look out for any trains or listen for any trains that are going to be coming your way. Now, some of the symbols on my map are right here, and they're really useful, especially when you're trying to get to your site and to see what's going to be around that campsite or place you're going to be parking, just so you know for when you're arriving or leaving, just what's going to be there. Now, there's parking, picnic areas, restrooms, campgrounds, motorized campsites, hiking areas, river mileage, boat launching, boat ramps, swimming beaches, RV campgrounds, cross-country ski trails, ranger stations, snowmobile access, and climbing spots. Now, something really special with these maps is that it has a little purple lizard for any really cool feature that is on the map. A lot of times it's often vistas or lookouts, and it has a really beautiful view, especially when you go at sunrise or sunset. So that's something to look out for when you're getting maps, is if there's any really cool features in the area, they might have it listed with a little purple lizard or some other symbol, so just be on the lookout for that. And the last thing we'll be talking about with my key is the declination. So declination is a whole other concept, and it's basically the difference between true north and magnetic north, and depending on where you are in the world, it is going to be different. So that basically means that whatever map you're going to be using, you need to be on the lookout for what the declination is, so that way you can adjust your compass and kind of get a better bearing of where you are in relation to all the different features around you, so that you don't get lost. Now, if you have a paper map, or if you can borrow one, or you can even just look at one for a brief second, I would definitely recommend looking at this key before you go into an area, just so you can see what's going to be around and what is going to be around you when you're on the trails, and if there's anything really cool to look out for, like some vistas or lookout points. Now, if you're thinking about traveling to an area, but you don't have a paper map, or you don't really want to purchase a paper map quite yet because you don't know if you want to go, a great resource for you to use is a website called CalTopo. Now, CalTopo is an online website where you can look up any place, any location, especially natural areas, and you can get topographical information about them. Now, you can also adjust the settings in CalTopo. You can adjust the scale, the contour intervals, anything you really want, how big or how small you want your map to be, and then you can export it and print it as a PDF, and you can actually have a paper version of it when you go on your trip, or you can even send the GPS coordinates and the file to a GPS, and you can use that on your trip too. So CalTopo is a really great resource if you don't have a physical map in front of you, and you don't really want to purchase one, and you just want to see what the land is going to look like before you get there. So in conclusion, topographical maps are a great way to get to know your area before you go into it, and to basically see the cool features that you're going to be seeing while on the trail. I hope this video helped you in how to look at and how to use a topographical map, and I hope you have a great, safe, and fun time out there in the natural world. Thanks!